we got a question here in the chat. And the question goes, I'm dating a girl for 3 months and the relationship conversation is starting to come up from her side. Yes, that should be happening. That's what I tell you guys. If you wait 3 months, they will come to you and start saying, what are we? Are you dating anybody else? So what do we call this thing? Yada, yada, yada. And then so he says, I want to be in a relationship with her, but what's the correct approach to handle when the what are we or what do you want situations come up? Well, I have a whole program at my website called Top Secret Dating Blueprint, where I go into it's like the 3 months of how you meet, greet, attract, and land a woman. And the very end of that program, I explicitly talk about what to do when these conversations come up. So if you want the full detail of that, I say get the program. But I would say this, is that at the point where she says, what are we or what do you want, blah, 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 this is the sign from her that she's ready to have the relationship talk. The worst thing you could do is just out the gate say yes. Because you don't want to go into a relationship just saying yes without first establishing what the terms are that are going to make you want to be in this relationship. You want to come from a position of you're not rushing in because you don't want to seem like you're too overeager. And also you want to make sure that the stuff that you want or need in a relationship is going to be honored and abided by. All right. Now in my program, I go into examples of the kind of things you can talk about, but I will say this is that whatever you're not going to want in a relationship, you talk about that before you agree to the relationship, because if you don't, then it's harder to negotiate those things once you've already established it. For example, I'll give you a brief example, right? Like a lot of guys feel some kind of way about their woman being on social media, specifically the ones that are showing bikini pictures and stuff like that, right? So as a guy, if you start dating her, I'm not the kind of guy that's you need to tell her, hey, it's been 3 dates, get rid of your social media, yada, yada, yada. But when the time comes when she's like, hey, what are we, yada, 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 I want a relationship, I want to know what this is, that's when I would say, okay, well, before we talk about relationship, let me ask you this, do you have social media? Well, yeah. Okay. Do you post up bikini pictures and stuff like that up on there? Okay. Well, yeah, I do that sometimes here and there. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's just leave things as they are. What? I don't know if I want to date somebody that's having that kind of stuff up. So let's just leave things as they are. And that is the response you can give a woman to anything that you feel is not going to work for you in a relationship, because you're not going to ever tell a woman you need to change this thing about yourself in order for me to be in a relationship. But you can say, based on what you like to do, that doesn't gel with me, so we'll keep things where they're at. That way it makes it her decision if she wants to change the behavior. If she does, then you say, okay, great, let's talk about the next thing, and so forth and so on. But again, I'll go over that extensively in my program. So check out my program and you can see what that's all about. All right. Also, he says, another question, she is a virgin. I haven't pushed too much for her hooking up. Do you think that's a good approach, or should I keep advancing until we eventually end up hooking up? Oh, man. You know what's funny? I've had, I have woman friends that are a bit older and are still virgins. And I have other friends that are guys that have dealt with women who are virgins, right? So here's my honest answer about that, right? Is that you can't force a woman, obviously, to give up her virginity. But I would seriously have conversations about where she's at in her virginity journey. Because there's some women that are going to be like, you know what? I'm a virgin now, but if I get with the right person, I'm totally down to hook up. And then there are some women that are going to be like, I'm a virgin until I'm married, and the person I'm dating has to understand that. And neither of those things are bad things, but you have to know what's going to work for you realistically. So here's the thing, right? If she's a virgin, you can have the conversation. You could say, okay, so obviously you haven't, gone away with somebody like that. So, and clearly I have. So I'm not saying I'm going to try to force anything on you now, but what are your feelings about we're in a relationship? What are your feelings about at some point possibly wanting to I want to be a virgin? And then you shut up and see what she says. And she might say, well, I think we have a good thing going, and I might need a little more time, but I could see that somewhere down the line actually happening. And you could say, okay, great. So do you see that, are you the kind of person that's waiting until marriage, or are you just waiting to make sure that that bond with that other person has been established? Because she might be I just need to feel a bond type of person. I was 23 when I lost my virginity, and I waited till I got with a person that I was like, you know what? I really feel as though me and this person have a good connection going on. And I definitely see that this is the person I want to give that up to. But it took me like 3 or 4 months of being with this person before I finally said, okay, you know what? That's going to be a thing. And so that might be the thing for her. She might just be like, I need to make sure that I'm in a, at least a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship where I've had time to establish trust and really see consistency from the person to where I can trust that if this is the thing that I do, it's not just going to be a hit it and quit it. They're not going to use it against me or tell other people, but that it's a bonding moment for us too. And that's a realistic conversation you can have, But I find most women, they're usually just waiting for that connection. And for some women, that means wait until they're married. And some women, it just means I need to trust the guy a bit more. But you got to have that conversation because, again, you don't want to go into a relationship blindsided. You don't want to go in there thinking, well, yeah, once you become boyfriend or girlfriend, she'll totally be down to hook up, because you could be in for a rude awakening. So find that out about what her journey looks like before you get into a relationship. Just say it. Okay. He says, awesome. The topic did come up and she's a virgin because she hasn't met a guy worthy of giving it to him. Not all because she's holding on marriage. Okay. Well, hey, good luck on the conversation. And again, and here's the thing too, at the point where you guys become boyfriend or girlfriend, don't assume if you become boyfriend or girlfriend that night, it's going to automatically be on and popping. Okay. You might still have to go another 2 or 3 months before she's like, hey, what's up? Okay. Now, with that said, as the guy in the relationship, it's still going to be your job to push that envelope, okay? And so you might be able to think where you do a little bit of push and pull, but you want to go into the situation not with kid gloves on, but basically being able to read where she's at any given time. So for example, you guys are just randomly having dinner at your place one day, and if she's on the couch or sitting next to her, you start making out, right? So you might just kind of go a little bit further than natural. Maybe if you're used to making out to this point, you maybe like try to touch her boob or try to like move your hands down a little bit, right? You go in and kind of slowly, and then you do things until the point where she says, oh, or she'll like, push your hand back a little bit, or maybe like, say, oh, that's a little too much. At that point, you just say, okay, no problem, boom. And you go back to the previous step. And then next time you go back to that step that you did beforehand where you went a little bit further and she's more accepting of it. Like we'll say an example, you grab her boob and this time she doesn't move your hand. Great. You now know that grabbing boob is an established move. Great. Next time you grab the boob, maybe you're kissing on her neck a little bit and she's getting a little more aroused and it's great. And then you start trying to unbutton her shirt. Oh, no, don't do that. Okay, great. You now know you can touch her boob, you can touch her neck. Great. Next time you see her, you do that. And so each time you're pushing a boundary slowly to where inevitably you're going to get to where she's like darn near naked and she's going to be like either like, let's just go for it. Or she'll be like, hey, I want you to guide me on this, like, but be gentle. Either way, you do it bit by bit. So you're not going to go from like, we're doing nothing to like, we're going to totally smash. Like, again, you try to move step by step and see where the gates are. And each time those gates and those fences are going to move bit by bit to where, it might be you get her naked and you like finger a little bit and that's all she wants to do because she's not quite ready to, subconsciously to go all the way, but she lets you in her in some form of fashion. Great. Maybe next time after that, you can go down on her. She goes down on you or whatever. And the next time after that, she's like, crap, we've done almost everything else at this point. So why not? So make sure you're reading where she's at and going at her pace and the whole time, again, you're passing boundaries, but you're not pushing them. You're not getting mad at her if she wants you to go back a step. Just you make it an easy journey for her to get to the promised land. All right. So hopefully, God, that helps you out.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man.